Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show today. Happy that you're joining us talking about another retreat conversation. A little bit different today, so listen in and maybe grab a notepad. You might get some good nuggets you got to write down, but we will have the information also in the show notes. So hang tight. We have a guest today. Her name is Julie Amy. She is a childcare CEO, leadership mentor, and community advocate with over 20 years of experience creating people-centered environments rooted in belonging, safety, and connection. As the founder of Best Day Ever framework, she helps leaders design experiences, whether it's in organization, communities, or gatherings, that supports regulation, trust, and meaningful transformation. Julie brings a grounded, heart-led perspective on how intentional environments can help people move out of survival mode and into clarity, purpose, and impact. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Best Day Ever, where did that come? I love it, by the way. Where did that start and come from? Tell us more.
Oh, Best Day Ever had to come from a worst day ever. It had to come from a worst day ever. So I was actually at a retreat, which is really ironic that we're doing a talk about retreats. I was at a worst day. I was at a retreat that was going very well, except back at my business, there was a worst day ever happening. So while that worst day ever was happening, we were in a mastermind group. And in that mastermind group, the whole group decided my mastermind passion project, that retreat, was going to be about what if the people back in your business were having the best day ever? What would that look like? I own a childcare center. I've owned my childcare center for 20 years. So we needed to really look at what would it look like for the families if they were having the best day ever? What would it look like for the children if they were having the best day ever? And what would it look like for the staff if they were having the best day ever? So I quickly learned that 20 years of transformation doesn't have to start with content. It really starts with environment. And that's what we came back and we really put to work. And it has been fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and it is ironic that you were at a retreat and that came up because like for you, let's just dig in for a second. For you, what's your best day ever?
My best day ever, based on my personality, is really forward thinking and productivity, very focused kind of a day. But my best day ever is also when the people around me are having the best day ever. I was just actually having a conversation with a coworker as she was walking out, and she was talking about other childcare environments where she's been in, where the directors and the administrators were not ever in the building and they were not very hands-on. And she said, you're either doing something very right or you're doing something very wrong. And I said, but I love you guys. I love being here with you. I love being a part of their day and I love being a part of a team. So for me, part of my best day ever is working independently, because I am a creator and entrepreneurial type personality, but I also love being around the kids and I love seeing the families come through and I really love being with my team. So my best day ever is being with my people. And that means my people at home too.
So you're living your best day ever every day.
I so am. I do love being with my people and that is my best day ever all the time. Grandkids, my own children, grand dogs. COVID, I have children that are old enough that I have 7 grand dogs. So those are all best days ever when we have all of those pieces around us that are important.
Yeah. I wonder, how many people listening can actually say or really describe a best day ever. I think that's huge. I remember saying a couple things came to mind when you were saying that. I remember when I was a kid, I had 2 best friends, bad combo, 3. I was always the odd man out, odd girl out, whatever. And my best days were when they were fighting because I had 2 best friends to pick which one I wanted to play with. It was, I mean, what a weird way to be a good day when they're fighting, but they were just mean girls. And even before the movie, they were mean girls. But when I had my salon and spa for 20 years, my best days at work, which I love doing what I was doing like you, my best days were when I had a variety, when that creativity could come out and cuz I was licensed for everything including instructing. So I could do color and hair and cuts and body
Yeah.
wraps and pedicures. I could do all of it cuz I have a license for everything, and that was a good day for me to have that
Right.
variety and not like be behind a chair doing the same thing over and over and over, right? Isn't that the definition of
Absolutely.
insanity?
Expecting it to make you happy. Right.
Yeah, I believe we all create our own happiness, and to me, people always ask what's your definition of success? So
Uh-huh.
easy, it's one word: happy. That's my definition of success. So I
Yeah.
love that. So yes, I love a best day ever. That's just, or is it best day? Yeah,
Best
best day
day
ever.
ever. Yeah.
Make sure.
Best.
Well, okay, so let's bring this into a retreat environment. How do you feel like in that framework? Let's talk a little bit about that and how you feel like we're in a retreat setting. We only have really a short time,
Mhm.
right? I mean, we're say 3 days to 7 days, depending on how long people are going for. That's kind
Right.
of a short time to create a container. It can be done. Yeah, definitely. But what
Yeah.
would you say? How would you apply that maybe in a retreat setting?
Well,
That frame.
I think that it's really important to make sure that people don't just come there. I think they have to feel like they're safe there, right? I think they
Yeah.
have to feel like they belong.
Mhm.
Regulation is something that they have to settle into and feel really comfortable. I know I hadn't gone away much at that point in my adult life. I still have a 13-year-old. I have a 32-year-old, but I have a 13-year-old, and I hadn't gone away much. So for me, I needed a couple of days in order to kind of settle into the fact that
Yeah.
I was away from home, that everybody lived while I was gone, they were okay, and that I was traveling on my own. I hadn't done a lot of that. So
Yeah.
those things, anything that would make me feel comfortable around me while I was in that state was going to be something that would help me have the best day ever, but also giving me little pockets of time throughout the day that were for me
Yeah.
to process and kind of debrief in my mind what all of that information that we were learning or that we were pondering could
Yeah.
process whatever way that I needed time to process it. When I was on my retreat, I had time to go to a state park and go for a walk. And for me, that was fantastic. I loved that part. That made it the best day ever for me. We were also
Yeah.
on a river connected to a large lake in Virginia. That was
Oh,
also my best day.
nice.
But
And I don't
leaders,
think it oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I just say I don't think it would hurt for a retreat leader prior to the retreat to get to know, do some Zooms prior to going, get to know, and then maybe send a little survey out, just 5 or 10 questions, but that could be one of the questions like what does your best day ever look like? Number 1, or how do you process and learn? Because everybody does, some are visual and some are audit or clairvoyant, I think it is. Anyway, they're all learning differently, and so I think if you kind of know that and make yourself some either mental notes or actual physical notes as a retreat leader, that would really help be able to
Absolutely.
create however
Food,
someone.
food and things like that as well, making sure people have dietary restrictions or all of those things. But
Definitely. Yeah.
leaders either create safety or they create tension, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. The environment shapes people's nervous systems, all of those things. Um, and making sure that people just have an environment that makes them feel really comfortable,
Yeah.
having kind of a hyper responsibility about being a good host and a caretaker identity. Usually, if you're that kind of person who is looking out um, for everyone's well-being or looking out for everyone's experience, you're a caretaker type personality. So you're
Mhm.
looking for what's going to make everybody feel comfortable. You're high
Yeah.
functioning. So you're watching for signs of burnout and looking for things that are going to help people to be in a calm environment and be able to have time to meet each other and be able to find personality connections and relationship connections that will help them to better feel connected to people and be in an environment where they can feel safe and better able to value or find value and safety in the vulnerability and the personalities of the people who are in the retreat with them.
Yeah. So let's create a little scenario here. You've got you've got a room full of daycare kids and somebody comes in that's new and it's their first day at daycare. And I'm going to
Yeah.
compare it to us. We were all children at one point of our lives.
Yes.
What would you do to make them feel safe, or I'm sure you do this. So what do you do in your daycare setting? And I'm kind of curious how we can compare that of what we could do to an adult setting.
Yeah. For me, it starts just like we were just talking about. It all starts so far before the child even gets there. It starts with the relationship with the parents. It starts with
Yeah.
that connection that you start, the relationship, that explanation, and all of the pre-work that you do with getting to know, like, and trust the person, screening the people to make sure that you can meet and exceed their expectations so that they
Yeah.
have a great experience. But then also having, for us, it's having the opportunity to meet them in person and have them see our environment, knowing what their experience has been before and what they loved about that experience and what they wished was different about that experience. Those are ways that we try to know in advance so that we can be sure that we, again, can meet their expectations and exceed their expectations. So by the time the child gets there, we have already made the adult feel so safe and comfortable that the child doesn't feed off of that energy. So the question
Yeah.
you asked actually about the child, and of course children have different temperaments, and if you're talking about 6:15 in the morning as opposed to 9 o'clock in the morning,
So do adults.
some kids want to get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and some kids want to get up at 6:15, and some kids
Yeah.
want to eat at that time, and some don't. Some
Right.
want to get dressed, and some don't. And we have time built into our morning for that so that people have time to acclimate to their day. And maybe
Yeah.
that would be something that would be a good conversion from children to adults for a retreat, to give people time
Yeah.
in the morning where they can mingle and have coffee and get used to, get acclimated to their morning and
Yeah.
have a schedule of the day so they can know what to expect and have the day be predictable and reliable.
Yeah.
Having for a child in our environment, we have them kind of have a teacher that is assigned to them, a specific person who is their person that is always there to help reassure them and tell them what's going to happen next. So I think making
Uh-huh.
that really reliable and predictable really helps people to know
Yeah.
how the day is going to go.
So I would say you have somebody as in a child environment, you have an adult, a leader that
Mhm.
is going to help support them. In a retreat environment, I would say your itinerary is key because you're not there to babysit
No.
and you want them to have that space. But that might be the first part of what you were saying. That might be another good framework in your questioning or a Zoom of how that person works. Are they a morning person? Are they a night person? Then you kind of know. But I think that itinerary that you create in the beginning, if that is public and out there on your sign up page and they understand, oh, she's really organized. Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
can see I'm going to have to get up or we're going to start at 8 a.m. every day,
Right.
because we're doing whatever. And I don't usually get out of bed till 9 or whatever that looks like for the attendees. But I think understanding that, just applying these lessons, I mean, are so key
Right.
because really how I always did personality profiling. And I
Mhm.
always say, as you're answering this little quiz, answer it as your younger self, because your younger self, it's like we adapt as we get older and we can do hard things and we learn all of that. But when we're a child, that's where our personalities are at. And those are going to funnel through our adulthood too. So I love the comparison. So thank you.
Yes. And of course, you're creating belonging, right? You want them to feel
Mhm.
emotionally safe, and you want
Yeah.
communication to be clear, and you want them to lean in and not feel self-conscious about whatever it is that they're doing, or whatever habits they have, or whatever adaptations
Right.
they're having to make. And you want to make them feel important. And that's one of our core values of our center, is making people feel important. So I think that's
Yeah.
a really nice part of a retreat as well, is to have those details make people feel like we were thinking of you before you even got here.
Yeah, I love that. What do you think one of the mistakes organizations make when they're trying to build a culture or an environment?
Or a lack of culture. I think that's the huge mistake, right?
Yeah.
I think it's people not paying attention to those details. I think when people are just coming in to do a job and they don't have that emotional investment, they don't
Yeah.
have that personal connection, they're not making sure to think of it from all of those. You said earlier to me that you did some personality testing, and as a staff we do some of that as well, so that we're making sure that we're setting people up for success and putting them into roles that they're really, really good at. I love
Yeah.
surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me in
Me
areas that
too.
I'm not interested in. Um, so I think making sure that the front of the house people are in front of the house is really important. Those people who are greeting them at the door. If you
Yeah.
have someone who's not fit for that role, being the good morning, how are you today? And they're grumbly or
Right.
snarky or they need their coffee. I don't know, I don't drink caffeine, but you have to have those right people in those right places to make sure that they convey that feeling of, we are so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here today. And
Yeah.
a mistake is not having those people in the right places so that those feelings get conveyed appropriately.
It reminds me of, why do you think one of the reasons Walmart's so successful? Come on, when do you go into Walmart and there's not a greeter there?
Right. And
That's
those people who are the greeters, they're excited to talk to
yeah.
people.
Well, you
They are.
hope. If they're having a bad day, okay, but usually the person you want there, just like any office, doctors especially, oh man, you need those people to have some compassion, because I know they're dealing with, craziness every day. There's things wrong with people or they wouldn't be showing up there.
They're in the worst situation of their day where they're not feeling well or they're under the weather. Yeah, they
Yeah.
need someone to be nice to them because they're already behind the eight ball, right?
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
when I say like a retreat leader, I mean, it's in there, leader. So that retreat leader needs to have the skills to lead because you're bringing them into an environment and you're bringing a lot of different personalities and you
All
need
the
to be a good leader. So always be honing in on your skills and figuring out how that looks and what that looks like. And
absolutely.
definitely, I
And
love
have
that.
your own body regulated, right? Because they are going to feed off of your energy. So if
Yeah.
you're running around like a crazy chicken with your head cut off, guess what? They will match your energy. Children match your energy, and your people at your retreat would also feel like,
Yes.
this is something is not going right, or this is too
Right.
busy. It needs to be. Your room is going to reflect your energy. So if you're trying to
Absolutely.
be really excited, then that's great. Turn up the music and let's dance and let's be crazy because we're cooking dinner together. But if it's something that's
Yeah.
supposed to be calm and quiet and thoughtful and reflective, then
Mhm.
the environment needs to reflect that as well.
I love
So
my favorite events and retreats that I have attended usually have, I don't know if I want to call them a cheerleader. They're usually the super happiest person in the room, but they
yeah,
they are in their leadership, they are bringing the good energy in there and they're uplifting everybody. And so the retreat leader is not the one usually taking on that role. I mean, they need to be that too, but I think
right.
when you bring in that extra body, and sometimes I think retreat leaders, the mistake they make is they have too many attendees and not enough help.
And try.
And there's balance in there depending on what kind of a retreat it is. So I think it's recognizing that too.
I think if I had to
Okay.
pick one other
Oh,
mistake, if I had to pick
yeah.
out one other mistake too, it would be coming to the end of the day without the same energy as the beginning
Yeah.
of the day. I think
Yeah.
the end of the day also has to be just as important as the beginning, because the end of the day is the last impression
Yeah.
they walk away with. And if you're like, okay, it's 8 o'clock, we're done, we're out of here, see you guys tomorrow, like, all right,
Yeah.
everybody go to your perspective corners, that's like, okay, get out of here, like, we're done, I don't want to talk anymore, I'm done, I don't want to be around you. It's not, oh my gosh, we've had so much depth, we've had highs, we've had lows, we've had so much time together today that was so meaningful and
Yeah.
inspiring, and the end of the day needs to be just as meaningful and thoughtful as the end of the day, just as meaningful and thoughtful
Right.
as of the day. It can't like kick off at the end like, okay, fine, we're all tired, we're done, see you
Right.
tomorrow. It has
Yeah.
to be really just as thoughtful.
And I think read the room and read the people that are attending, because if it is on a low and you're feeling that and you're feeling that drain, because retreats can do that when you're doing hard work, not like physically, but mentally and emotional work, it
Yeah.
can feel heavy. So I think that's where it's nice to have that extra body of a cheerleader in there that can bring back up the room. And it's not always up to you as the retreat leader to hold the space, but they actually bring up the energy, so it does always end on a high note. So, and there's
Yeah.
activities, there's lots of things that you can figure out and learn as a retreat leader to do to make that happen. And those are just your leadership skills, and that part of going to events and learning different skills that's part of leadership. So
There's experience that shows through there, isn't there?
okay, so I have some rapid fire for you. So just whatever comes to your mind, first thing, don't overthink it.
Okay.
Finish this sentence. The best leaders are the ones who
give credit to all of the people around them and see things in them that they don't see in themselves and make them feel seen.
Love that. Morning ritual. That's can be yes or no if you want, or what is it?
For us, a morning ritual, and I think it can be done in retreats as well, is everybody getting together and connecting about how was your evening and what happened last night while we were away from each other, and was it something that you'd like to share? And for a retreat environment, it could be a reflection from what we learned yesterday. What hit you that you weren't expecting?
Yeah. Belonging feels like
warmth and
burnout cure.
Outside is outside. That walk, breathing air, sunshine, beach.
One trait every CEO or retreat leader, in our case, needs.
A trait.
Oh, yes.
I think patience and understanding. I think seeing things from different angles and being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and give them the grace to be willing to look at something from wherever it is they're looking at it from, so that you can be understanding.
Yeah. A regulated nervous system looks like?
It looks like Teflon, like things that are happening around you just kind of roll off. We have to have this in childcare, especially the younger the kids, the better. The more you have this, it works best with younger kids, because if babies are crying, and you are getting more and more anxious, they feel that and they continue to be crying. So our best infant teachers are the people who can take in that energy and not internalize it, but let it kind of roll off of them and have no personal connection to the energy that's around you. You just allow the people around you to have that dysregulated energy, and then you wait and you still stay in your own calm.
Well, and that's great advice for a retreat leader as well. It's interesting, and I knew it'd be a good chat with us just to be able to compare these things. Because they don't change, really. The audience changes, but they don't.
It's not personal.
No, absolutely not. Well, okay. Well, our time's up, but I appreciate you coming and helping and giving these great tips to our listeners. And we have a free gift that we're going to put in the show notes from you, correct?
Yes, thank you. Yes, my free gift is an ebook. It's an ebook about culture and how culture and foundation are something that help you set up your environment in a way that creates longevity and connection and relationship. And it's a really nice opportunity to look at how all of those things help create community.
I love that. And then also your contact information will be in the show notes as well. So if you want to get a hold of Julie, you'll be able to do that. So thanks again, everyone, for being here. And thanks, Julie, for being a great guest. And we will see everybody next week on the podcast. Bye for now. Thanks for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time. Thinking about hosting a retreat? Before you dive in, let's make sure you're really ready. Grab your free Are You Retreat Ready checklist and find out if you've got everything in place, from your purpose and pricing to your audience and agenda. Don't guess, get clear. This quick checklist will show you exactly where you stand and what you need to make your retreat a success. Click the link below in the show notes to grab your gift and take the first step toward hosting with confidence.